รมีของอะไรถวายได้เลยนะครับ
เชียงใหม่นะครับ
ผม
ครบปีแล้วเหรอ
ยังไม่ครบครับนี้ปีนึงได้มาครั้ง2 ครั้งแล้วเอาพังกันเลยค่ะ
เป็นศรีสุรางจำชื่อได้นะ
ที่แล้วมาเดือนมีนาเจ้า
ค่ะเดือนมีนา
หลวงพ่อแข็งแรง
สาธุวันนี้ต่อได้2 กล้องเลย
ได้2 กล้องครับอาจารย์
เสียงเข้านะ
ตอนนี้เรียบร้อยหมดแล้วครับอาจารย์เดี๋ยวสั่งตัวแดงเพิ่มอีกตัวนึงครับอาจารย์เมื่อเช้าระหว่างขับรถมาก็คิดอยู่จะให้อาจารย์ใช้2 ตัวส่งเลยเหรออะไรเงี้ยโทรไปถามร้านเขาบอกว่าใช้ตัวส่งเดียวได้แล้วตัวรับ2 ตัวก็เลยแบบหมดปัญหาเลยครับอาจารย์ตอนนี้
ยังไม่ได้เปิดลำโพงเลยนะเสียง
เปิด
ยังไม่ดังเดี๋ยวใครต้องการหนังสือซีดีก็หยิบได้นะสาธุสาธุอันนี้ใครพาชาวหนังประเทศมานะใครพาชาวต่างประเทศมาจากที่ไหน Where do you come from California Which city
Los Angeles
Los Angeles Which part of Los Angeles
South Bay
Torrance okay You know Carlson
Yes very well
next to Torrance
Yes
Yeah I used to stay there long time ago when I was working summertime 1969 67 69 70 yeah 2 summer 69 and 70
What kind of work?
I work in a factory that makes a paper bag for grocery store. They were still using paper bags. But the factory is in near East LA, but I stay in Carson. Actually it's called Dominguez Hill. It's right next to Carson, right next to the Cal State campus.
There's no paper bags anymore.
Right, yeah. It's all plastic.
No plastic anymore.
Banned, they're all banned. So you have to use what, cloth?
So you bring all that.
A lot of pollution.
practiced with Lumpur Sumeto.
Oh yeah, you sent the email.
He gave a retreat, and then I spent some time at Ratanawan. And his Upatak suggested that I come to Nuchi.
So you plan to stay for a few days?
If possible.
Have you met Tan Yiwei yet?
No, but we email.
Okay. You should be out here about 4 or 4:30. Then you can see him and talk to him about the accommodation. In the meantime, if you have anything you'd like to ask me, you're welcome to. Is there anything you'd like to know? How long have you been practicing?
16 years.
16 years. In California?
All over. My root teacher is Thich Nhat Hanh.
The Vietnamese?
Yes, and I practiced at Plum Village for 4 years. And then I practiced with a Chan teacher, Master Sheng Yen. And then I practiced in Zen tradition. But my questions were not answered, so I took time off just to study. And then I found Lumpur Sumeto. So since that time I practice learning from Lumpur Sumeto and Ajahn Suchito.
How long ago was this?
About 4 years.
So have you been to Northern California, the
Yes.
Apai Kiri?
Yes, several times. Yes, with Lumpur Pasano.
What about Janjep? Have you been there too?
I haven't. He's the closest.
It's nearer, yeah. Down in San Diego.
When I call, he's not there. So I haven't been able to go.
We have an American monk who lived there for 5 years, Tan Mike. He currently is staying here. He likes to come to Thailand and practice in the Thai forest. I think maybe the forest in California wasn't, the temple there, the monastery there wasn't quiet enough or something.
Oh, Wat Metta?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe not like the forest tradition. I don't know, but apparently he wants to come here.
Oh. I think Abhayagiri is kind of like Nanachat.
Nanachat.
Hot and dry. Yeah. More land. Yes.
So after you met Lumpur Sumeto, what have you found out?
Well, the question that I had was, what I was learning all was a technique, was a doing. Maybe you're noting or keeping attention in one place, but still it's all doing. And I felt that something was missing. So when I met Lumpur's teaching, I discovered his idea of, not his idea, but his teaching, the Buddha's teaching, of being the knowing. And when I practice that, if the mind is confused, I can know, confused mind. I don't have to try to do something to change it. And so my practice is to be aware of the present moment, to notice if there's an interest in changing it, or to notice if there's an interest in holding on, and to study that feeling of wanting to push away or wanting to hold, and then to let go.
Yeah, the goal is just to be non-reactive.
Yes.
Just to know that everything comes and goes, everything rises and sits. There's no need for you to manage them.
Right.
It's just a matter of whether you can remain non-reactive or not. Because due to your old habit, you like to manage things
Yes.
to suit your preferences,
Yes.
which cause you all sort of a problem. Because you can never really manage them.
No.
The best way to manage them is to leave them alone.
Sadly.
So what you want to do is to meditate, to get your mind to be able just to know and not to react to everything that the mind comes into contact with. whether it's be the external things like the sight, sound, smell, taste, and tactile objects, or the inner thing like your emotions and your feelings. You should be able to leave them alone, because that's the best solution to our problem. See, this is something that we don't know. We thought that in order to solve our problem, we have to arrange and manage things for them to be what we like them to be or want them to be. But this never happens, because everything doesn't listen to us. They have their own ways. So the Buddha said, try to see them as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Anatta is beyond your level of control. You cannot control, you cannot really manage them. You might be able to some of the time, but not all the time. Eventually you will fail if you try to manage them. You will succeed if you just leave them alone, because you will have peace of mind. And that's real happiness. That's what we're looking for. It's real happiness. But the things that we think that are happiness, they're not real happiness. Like the word, the pursuit of happiness, we actually pursue suffering, because we want to manage what we have. We want to manage the happiness that we have acquired, without realizing that all happiness that we acquire are temporary. They come and then they eventually go away. That's why we have to keep pursuing all the time, like going after the shadow, our own shadow. You will never be able to catch your own shadow, because it's always ahead of you, one step ahead of you. The only way to find happiness is to stop pursuing. Then your mind will then become peaceful and calm and content. And in order to do this, you need mindfulness to control the thoughts that keeps running around everywhere all the time. Once you can stop your thoughts, your thinking, then your mind will become still and peaceful and content. This is the first step of creating the real happiness, the inner peace. The happiness that arises with the inner peace is to stop the mind from thinking, to let it enter into samadhi or jhana. Once you have this, it's a temporary state of mind, because you cannot remain in samadhi all the time. So after you come out, the next step is to develop wisdom, to teach your mind to let go of everything, not to react to anything, not to crave for anything or desire for anything. Because when you have craving or desire, the peace of mind that you attain from jhana will be destroyed. If you want to maintain the peace of mind that you have acquired from jhana, you have to stop your craving by teaching your mind that everything that you crave for is only temporary. It's anicca. They only last for a while. Then they will sooner or later disappear. And when they disappear, the happiness that you acquire from them will also disappear. And in its place will be sadness and unhappiness. So if you don't want to run into sadness, then you must not acquire anything. You should not crave for anything. This is what we call wisdom or insight, to see that everything that we think will bring us happiness will actually bring us unhappiness or sadness afterwards. Because everything that we acquire sooner or later will disappear or separate from us. if you can maintain this insight, and then you will be able to stop all your cravings, especially the three kinds of cravings that the Buddha mentioned: the craving for sensual gratification, craving for being, and craving for not being. By realizing or by using the three characteristics to stop that craving. Once you know that what you're going after will result in misery or unhappiness, then you would then stop. See, why should you want to go after something that will make you sad afterwards?
I have practiced jhana early in my practice several years, and I let it go because it's really wonderful, but it doesn't last. So now I try to let the mind just do what it does and just try to notice. So I do get lost in thinking, but I remember mindfulness arises and then I let go. My concern is I don't want to have aversion for thinking, because that's more suffering. So there's a balance. Sometimes my mindfulness is more strong, sometimes less strong, and that's just the way it is. Sometimes the mind is wandering, sometimes the mind is calm. I just try to be aware. Is that the right path?
The truth is you can be mindful all the time. The problem is you're not developing it to that stage, that level. You can have mindfulness all the time if you keep developing mindfulness, and then you will be able to control your thoughts all the time. But you don't have to stop your thoughts, all of your thoughts. You can, once you can control your thoughts, then you can direct your thoughts toward the positive side, toward the side of wisdom. If you want to think about anything, think of them as temporary, as anicca. Think of them as giving you sadness. Think about anatta, meaning they will never belong to you. They can never belong to you. You can never really control them or manage them. They are beyond our control. They are like the weather. They are like things in nature in which it's not under our control. If you think in this way, your mind will be peaceful and calm, and your mind will be able to get rid of all your cravings. See? But first, you want to be able to stop it first. So you need to somehow stop your mind and enter into jhana. See? Once you have that, then you know anytime if you cannot stop your mind, if your mind happens to run amok, you can at least stop it. But if you don't know how to stop the mind, then when it gets restless or agitated, you might not be able to stop it. Once you know how to stop it, then you can also know how, then you know you can direct the mind to go into the direction that you want it to go, in the direction of the noble path, to have right view, right thinking. Right now, our mind flip-flops. Sometimes it goes in the right direction and sometimes it goes in the wrong direction. That's because we don't have the ability to be able to stop it from going in the wrong direction yet. That's why we have to learn how to stop the mind first. By stopping the mind and entering into jhana, it gives you peace of mind and contentment. And it will give you the strength to be able to resist all forms of cravings or desire. Because when you have contentment, you don't need anything. And when your craving come around and ask you for a cigarette or a cup of coffee, then you can say no to it. But if you don't have contentment, you don't have peace of mind, you'll find it difficult to resist your craving. So that's part of the reason why we need to first develop samadhi or jhana. It will serve as a support to our practice of wisdom, of developing wisdom, to get rid of our cravings and desire. So the next step after you have jhana, Dhamma, is to protect that peace of mind that you have achieved from jhana by resisting all forms of craving. If you have to eat, you should eat according to the need of the body, not according to your desire to eat. Same way with drinking, same way with seeing, hearing, or anything. If you have to do them, you have to do them with a reason, not out of cravings. Because the body still exists and you still have to support the body. So you have to let the body eat, but you must not eat because you wanted to eat. You eat because it's time to feed the body. Like once a day, for monks we practice the practice of eating once a day. After we have finished our meal, then we won't eat anything anymore until the next day. And drinking, we only drink. We are allowed to have refreshment once a day also in the afternoon. Other than that, if the body needs water, we just drink pure water. Nothing else, no taste, no sugar, no coffee to satisfy the craving. So this is what we do in order to get rid of our cravings. Because when there are no cravings inside the mind, then there will be nothing to disturb or agitate the mind. Then the mind will always be peaceful and content and happy.
Is it possible to have aversion to craving and create a new obstacle?
What do you mean aversion to cravings?
Well, you say we want to get rid of craving. So I know in my mind sometimes a desire arises. If I try to push it away, then it's aversion.
Oh, you don't push away. You use rationality to deal with it. Just I say, the craving that we crave for will only lead us to more problem, more unhappiness. Like if you crave for coffee, a cup of coffee. So when you have that cup of coffee, you feel good. But it only lasts temporarily. Then an hour or two, come another craving for another cup of coffee. And on and on. And when there's no coffee to drink, what happens?
Sad.
Yeah. So this is what we want to do. Get rid of our addiction, really. We are addicted to the sensual gratification. We find happiness by gratifying our sensual cravings, which is wrong way of giving us happiness. The right way is to resist, to stop this sensual gratification. And so you need rationality, the truth to teach the mind, like by using the three characteristics of everything that you crave for. They are all anicca, dukkha, anatta. Anicca, they only exist briefly, temporarily. Anicca, dukkha, they will give you unhappiness when you can no longer acquire them. Anatta, you cannot control them. You cannot tell them to remain with you all the time. Sooner or later, they can be separated from you. So if you see everything as anicca, dukkha, anatta, then you will stop desiring for them. You don't push away, you teach the mind the reason behind why we don't want to satisfy our craving. Because they don't really make us satisfied. They make us more dissatisfied.
Re-education.
Yeah. Re-education, reprogramming the mind. The mind been influenced by its own delusion to think that being able to satisfy its craving will bring it happiness, but in fact it brings sorrow and misery afterwards when you lose what you have acquired. Because everything you acquire will disappear one day, sooner or later. Or your body, which is another object of your craving. You use the body as the instrument or the mean to acquire the things that you desire for. But the body is also temporary. So sooner or later, your body will disappear, and you will no longer be able to use it to acquire the things that you desire for. So everything that you have or will acquire, they are all anicca, dukkha, anatta. So the body should also abandon it, relinquish it, by not relying on it. Right now, the mind uses the body as the tool to acquire things that it craves for. But if you keep relying on the body, then when this body dies, then it will cause you to go get a new body. So you have rebirth. After this body dies, your mind doesn't die with the body. And the cravings in the mind will be the one that will push the mind toward a new body, a new birth. So this will go on and on as long as you still have cravings in the mind. But once you have get rid of the cravings in the mind, then there will be nothing to push the mind to go after a new body. Once this old body dies, then you just don't have to get a new body, but you still exist. The Buddha still exists, the mind of the Buddha still exists. The mind of all the noble disciples, they still exist. But they can exist without having the body. Because they don't need the body to use as the tool to acquire their craving, acquire what they're craving for. Because they have a better kinds of happiness. That is the happiness of peace of mind, of contentment. So that's the goal of our Buddhist practice, is to get rid of our cravings. Because once we can get rid of all our cravings, then there will be no birth. And once there's no birth, then there will be no suffering. We suffer with the body, because the body, once it is born, it will be subjected to aging, sickness and death, which the mind doesn't like.
Stickiness and mosquitoes.
Yeah, but it's something that the mind got trapped into by its own delusion. By thinking it's good to have a body, because to have a body you can use it to go after your cravings. But you forget that the body is also anicca, it's temporary. That it will get old, get sick and die. So if you don't want to get old, get sick and die, then don't reborn. And in order not to reborn, you have to stop your cravings. To stop your craving, you need to develop mindfulness, to have jhana. And after you have jhana, then you have to develop wisdom. You have to develop the perception of anicca, dukkha, anatta. Once you have that inside your mind, then you can get rid of all your cravings.
So to support mindfulness, mindfulness of the breath, mindfulness of Buddha, sound of silence. Those are the practices that I use.
Well, the Buddha prescribed 40 subjects of meditation, of mindfulness, 40 kammathanas. You can use any one of those. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the foundation of mindfulness, he prescribed 2 types of mindfulness. If you're sitting, then you're mindful of your breathing, your breath. If you're not sitting, if you're doing your activity, use your body activity as your point of focus to anchor your mind from thinking about other things. You just keep watching whatever you're doing. Concentrate on what you do only, and not let your mind go think about other things. Then you will have mindfulness. Your mind will remain in the present, the here and now. You don't want to send the mind into the past or into the future, because it cannot make your mind peaceful and calm that way. The mind can only be peaceful and calm when it remains in the present. And when you sit, then you focus on your breathing until your mind drops into calm. After you come out of your jhana, you can start investigating the nature of the body. See the anicca nature of the bodies by looking the changing of the body from birth to childhood to adulthood, from aging to sickness and eventually to death. This is anicca. The body is in a continual process of change. It doesn't remain the same. And after that, you also look at the anicca, the anatta nature, that there is no self in this body. The body just is the products of the 4 elements that we ingest, like the water that we drink, the air that we breathe. These are the water element and the air element. The food that we take in is the earth element. And when they combine, they create the 4th element, the fire or the heat element. That's why the body is always warm. So this is just the 4 elements that form the body. And when the body stops breathing, then these 4 elements will go separate ways. And there's no such thing as you or me or he or she in that body. The body is merely a body. But the mind that possesses this body, due to its lack of knowledge, true knowledge, take the body as itself. We think that this body is us, but actually it is not. The body comes from your father and your mother, initiated by your father and your mother, and then developed by the support of the 4 elements. And it doesn't last forever. When it eventually stops, then the 4 elements will go separate ways. If you leave the body alone after it dies, the fluid will start to flow out. That's the water element. The heat element also disappears, the fire element, because the body becomes cool. And the air element also disappears from the body. All that is left is the earth element. So you want to investigate to convince the mind that the body is not the mind is not the body. You can also do it by dissecting or separating all the 32 parts of the body, and ask yourself each part of the body whether you belong to that, you are that part of the body. Am I the hair of the body? What happened when I shave my head? I threw all the hair away. Where am I? Do I go away with the hair or not? The hair just go, but you're still here. You see. Same thing with all the other parts of the body. There are 32 parts of the body. You should contemplate, investigate, and see them for them. See them as they really are, not what you think they are. We tend to think that this 32 parts combined is us. So we want to correct that misunderstanding by separating all these 32 parts and ask yourself whether any of this part is you or not. What happens when you have a kidney transplant? Does somebody else come and take over your body with a new kidney? You lose your old kidney, but you're still the same old guy, right? Okay. The mind is always the same, see. But the body, you can change the parts nowadays. You can change the heart, you can change the lungs, you can change some of the other organs. But that doesn't change you. You're still the same. You're still the one who knows, who thinks, which is not the body. So if you can see this clearly, then you can let go of your attachment to the body. And then whatever happens to the body, you will not be affected. Right now you are affected because of your own delusion. Because you think whatever happens to the body will happen to you. But in fact, you never get sick, you never get old, you never die. That's the mind. You are from the mind, you're not from the body. You are thoughts. You think you are, so you are. When you enter in jhana, when you stop thinking, then the you disappear. All that is left is the knower, the one who knows. That's the real you. That's what you want to get to be, just to be the knower. When you see anything, just know, just acknowledge. Don't attach or cling to them. Because if you do, you will be sad, because they cannot last forever. They don't last forever. And when they leave you, you will become sad. If you don't cling to them, then it doesn't matter whether they stay or whether they go. Okay?
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. I practiced with Sayadaw U Pandita, and my body disappeared and I stopped breathing, and it was quite interesting, but I didn't know what to do with it. And now you have told me how to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so much.
Okay.
อาจารย์จะตัดเป็นภาษาไทยกับภาษาอังกฤษไหมครับ
ก็ตัดไปก็ดีตอนนี้
ตัดดีกว่า
ตัดด้วยกันได้
งั้นทางบ้านขออนุญาตตัดตามต่อคลิปต่อไปเลยนะครับ
เดี๋ยว